guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with a quick 5 to 6 minute push here on the recent Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs trade. Let's get going. I'm going to switch you over to picture-in-picture. The first thing I wanted to start with, and let's not forget what the Jazz got. We're going to look at it first from the Jazz perspective. Here's what they got in that first trade for Rudy Gobert. They got 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, and a guy that I like a lot in Walker Kessler as an upside, young, big prospect. Not so much from a card-collecting perspective, but he blocked shots at a ridiculous rate at the University of Auburn last year. If you watched his game, he's got impeccable timing, great size, great length, great timing, all that stuff. Jared Vanderbilt, an underrated guy who was almost on his way out of the league and then earned his way as, a slap-the-floor, defense, energy, rebound, great rebound rate, great out-of-area rebounder, proved himself as a very valuable, very, very good defensive big last year in Minnesota. And then Patrick Beverley, who we know has since been moved on. I'm not going to talk about Beasley, a high-volume three-point shooter. That's fine. I don't think he's a long-term piece for the Jazz. But what the Jazz are looking at here is Vanderbilt, role player, 4 first-round picks, and Kessler. And then we look at the trade yesterday. And this is the one everybody's talking about, right? So Spider Mitchell goes from Utah to Cleveland. What does Utah get in return? They get Lauri Markannen, Agbaji, and Collin Sexton. Agbaji is a ready-to-go 22-year-old man-child, wing, versatile, polished, played for the University of Kansas, All-American, ready to go, lottery pick number 14 in the draft last year. So that is just not a throw-in, right? That player matters. He can play. He's kind of he kind of reminds me of Benedict Mathurin, only a little bit older, a little bit probably a little bit more ready, but not quite as much upside maybe. And then Lauri Markannen is a fantastic big, very versatile. So you're losing probably the least versatile big in the entire NBA, which is Rudy Gobert. Good defender, true rim protector, true rim runner. I get all those things. Lauri Markannen is the exact opposite. Can step out and shoot the three. He can, he played a little bit of the three. People are bagging on Markannen for his rebounding, but the guy, he didn't average very many rebounds a game. But hell, when you're on the court with Jared Allen and Mobley and you're playing 3 7-footers at once and you're the guy that's kind of stuck on the perimeter, I think it's natural that your rebounding rate is going to go down significantly because those other 7-footers that are closer to the rim are going to snatch all the rebounds. So Markannen showed some things last year in Cleveland. I think he really revitalized his worth and his value in the NBA. So those 2 guys matter. They also picked up 3 unprotected firsts from Cleveland, which again, we're assuming those are all going to be late first-round picks because Cleveland's going to be damn good. We're talking about it in a second. And they get 2 more pick swaps in that trade as well. So that's it from the Jazz perspective. I haven't talked about this, though. I want to show you something. Collin Sexton. Let's compare Collin Sexton right here to Donovan Mitchell. I don't think you guys are aware of what Collin Sexton was due in Cleveland pre-injury, pre-Garland takeover, right? Garland took over. Garland became the man. Garland was handed the keys to the franchise. Sexton became expendable. Garland took a big duffel bag full of cash. Congrats to Garland. He earned every bit of it, and I think he's Kyrie 2.0, only he's not insane. So Garland is like a better version of Kyrie from what I've seen. Super skilled, under the rim guy, super efficient, get his own shot, create for others, but none of the baggage that comes with Kyrie Irving. And that's what I see when I see Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland. You guys know how much I love him if you watch my channel. But here's what people forget. The hobby has this horrible habit of completely eliminating people from the radar, and therefore their cards plummet in value. Collin Sexton's a great example. I don't have his card ladder stuff pulled up because I don't want to make this a 30-minute video, but look at Collin Sexton's last full year in Cleveland, 60 games, compared to last year Donovan Mitchell's season in Utah, right? Donovan Mitchell's a 3-time All-Star. He's a max player. Everybody's going apeshit about him going to Cleveland. I just want you to see how similar Collin Sexton's numbers were that year in Cleveland, sharing the backcourt with Darius Garland before he jumps to Utah. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is I have to believe Collin Sexton has one of the greenest of green lights in the entire NBA right now in Utah, because Utah is not exactly stacked, right? We're going to go back to that comparison. They got Mike Conley at the 1, Sexton starting at the shooting guard, and of course, they'll try to have either Conley, Sexton, or Clarkson on the court at all times, kind of running the point. Sexton's capable of giving you minutes running the point. I don't think that's his true position because he's not a high assist-to-turnover guy. His assist-turnover ratio is kind of weak. That's why I see him kind of in that Ben Gordon, almost like a better, I know Ben Gordon was a hell of a player for you old guys that remember Ben Gordon, but he's kind of a Ben Gordon guy who goes out there and just gets you buckets off the bench. He's kind of like a Jordan Clarkson, only significantly better in every respect, other than a slight difference in free throw per shooting. Bojan Bogdanovic at the 3, Lauri Markanen at the 4, and Walker Kessler at the 5. There's also a chance Kessler may not start at the 5, even though he was the highly touted pickup in that trade we just talked about. You may see Markanen playing the 5. Markanen is 7 foot, 240 pounds, man. And he was playing the 3 in Cleveland for a lot of minutes last year. He can do some things. People are sleeping on him. This is really a trade for the Jazz about 2 players with great potential that the hobby and the entire world, the NBA watching fan base, has completely forgot about. Sexton and Markanen. Those guys can play. And when they get in Utah, both those dudes are going to have massive green lights to put up huge numbers because Utah is going to flat out suck. Utah is going to be terrible. Agbaji's going to try to work his way into that rotation. Between Agbaji, Talen Horton-Tucker, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you got 3 question marks. They just need one of those guys to be the right guy, right? They need one of those guys to step in when Bogdanovic dies of old age or gets traded because somebody's making a playoff run. Bogdanovic does nothing for the Jazz except help them win games, which they're not trying to do right now. So at some point, I think THT, Agbaji, or Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they try to get those guys in the rotation, figure out who's the one we want to kind of ride with going into the future. But Utah hit the reset buttons, plural, with 2 hands and smashed it. They have really flipped the script. I love Donovan Mitchell. I like Donovan Mitchell. I put him in the same category as Jason Tatum. Call me an idiot. I don't know. Whatever. That's fine. I just think Jason Tatum was in a better position. But here's what I wanted to show you guys. I've got a comparison of Donovan Mitchell's season last year in Utah and Collin Sexton's season before last, his last full season in Cleveland where he played 60 games. Look at the similarities between Donovan Mitchell, all-star, mind you, and Collin Sexton playing for those Cavs teams, not last year where he got injured, but the year before when he was sharing the backcourt with Darius Garland. 1 point per game difference in their scoring, and that is what Donovan Mitchell is. He's a scorer. Fewer turnovers than Donovan Mitchell. The same blocks. One steal per game is a pretty good rate. 1.5 is a really good rate in the NBA nowadays. 1 fewer assist than Donovan Mitchell. 1 fewer rebounds than Donovan Mitchell. So you're talking about 1 less point, 1 less assist, 1 less rebound a game than a max player who was the franchise cornerstone. So look at this from the Jazz perspective. Let's go look at their free throw percentage. A little bit worse free throw shooter. Donovan Mitchell's an elite free throw shooter at a very high volume. But look how many free throw attempts per game Collin Sexton took. Is that crazy? Do you realize he's shooting 81.5% on 6.4 attempts per game? He's taking almost 2 attempts per game more than Donovan Mitchell. So let that sink in. That was with the Cavs. Like I said, he's going to have a huge green light in Utah. He is going to throw up insane numbers. I'm not telling you to go out there and buy his cards or what cards to buy. I'm just telling you, if you look at this from Utah's perspective, this is not that big of a drop down between these 2 guys statistically. And again, both of them were doing it against starting units. It's not like we're, Collin Sexton was doing this against bench units. And so over 50% effective field goal percentage. Collin Sexton's a better 3-point shooter. 37.1% for Collin Sexton year before last. 35.5 for Donovan Mitchell. 35.5 is not a bad percentage. 37 is pretty damn good. And that was kind of the knock on Sexton. He can guard, he can defend, he's energy, he's tough as hell. He's like a little tiny Westbrook, but he can't shoot. Well, he shot 37.1% from 3. Much better shooter from the field. So I don't know what there is to say about it. He was doing it on fewer shots. If he takes 2 more shots like Donovan Mitchell did, he scores more points than Donovan Mitchell, points per game. And that is what Donovan Mitchell does. He's a scorer. So from the Jazz perspective, I think this is a fantastic pickup to pick up, what did we say, 7 first-round picks, 3 unprotected, 3 pick swaps, Lauri Markanen, who's a versatile big, right? A completely different type of player than Gobert. Agbaji, who's a lottery pick and a question mark, maybe prospect. Who knows? But he's probably a well-prepared prospect, so you can plug and play and see what happens because he's 22 years old, and he did it on a big stage at a Big Six conference, powerhouse at Kansas. And then Kessler, basically, we're hoping, or they're hoping in Utah, Danny Ainge is hoping he's a poor man's Rudy Gobert. And so they've hit the reset button in an amazing way. I think the Jazz absolutely knocked it out of the park because at no point in any world that we live in were the Utah Jazz, with what they had with Gobert and Mitchell as their cornerstones, ever going to be relevant whatsoever, not just for a title, but in the Western Conference at all. So that's over. I like what they've done. They've hit the reset button, and there you go. There's the lineup. They're trying to lose games this year, probably one more year, but really this is an experimental year to kind of figure out where they are, right? So that's the trade from the Jazz standpoint. From the Cleveland Cavaliers standpoint, you're loaded. You've got Garland. You got Okoro as your kind of poor man's Marcus Smart. You've got Mobley, you've got Jarrett Allen, you now plug in Mitchell. You have I don't want to call it a big three because Mobley's not there yet, and I'm not the highest on Mobley. I like him as a player. People keep saying Anthony Davis, prime Anthony Davis. I don't see things like that, or Kevin Garnett. I don't see that from Mobley. I see good defender. I'm taking Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes over Mobley all day long. That's just me, okay? But I do recognize Mobley's a good player, so I don't see a big three between Garland, Mitchell, and Mobley. But I see, a big three and then plus a half with Mobley and Jarrett Allen, who is an all-star and does everything you want from a rim-running defensive big. And he allows Mobley to guard fours and exploit fours in the post if Mobley can develop that offensive game. That's really the question mark about Mobley. So everybody's talking about Cleveland and how fantastic Cleveland's going to be. I love what the Jazz did from this perspective. I really do. I think the Jazz, if you're going to hit the reset button, load up on picks, and you pick up a bunch of bullets in the holster, like Sexton may turn into an absolute scoring machine monster. He really might. He might turn into a Westbrook. His numbers are not that far off in Cleveland from what Donovan Mitchell was doing in Utah, and he was an all-star. So, and certainly the price tag on Sexton is drastically different than the price tag on Donovan Mitchell. So I do like the idea that Cleveland feels they have a little window to kind of make a move now and make a push. I like them picking up, one of those fringe megastars, one of those Tatum types. So we'll see. Mitchell and Tatum are the same draft class, and they've always been kind of compared to each other. Mitchell's never really had quite the supporting cast that Tatum has had. I mean, we saw flashes of absolute brilliance from Mitchell in the bubble when they were going at it with the Nuggets, I think, with Jamal Murray. He's fantastic. He's fun to watch. He's got a great personality. I really like him a lot. There's a lot of Dwayne Wade comparisons, for Donovan Mitchell, albeit he's a lot smaller than Dwayne Wade. People don't realize how big Dwayne Wade was, like physique-wise, 4 inches taller than Donovan Mitchell. But they play kind of that similar low center of gravity, big, thick, big thighs, big hips, bully people kind of game, get to the rim, dunk balls that little people aren't supposed to dunk. He plays that kind of Dwayne Wade game, a little bit better shooter from the perimeter, obviously, than Dwayne Wade was. But anyway, that's I think it's a win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it's an absolute out-of-the-park super home run for the Utah Jazz. Go ahead and flame me in the comments and tell me Markanen and Sexton are washed up. I see what their card values are at. I am not telling you I'm going out there and buying every gold prism Sexton I can get my hands on. But I am telling you right now, Sexton is going to have a green light. Markkanen's going to have a green light. Somebody's got to put the ball in the hoop for that team. You would say, well, Jordan Clarkson's going to put in all the points. Well, here's Clarkson's stats compared to Sexton's stats. Clarkson against second units was averaging 16 a game. Sexton was averaging 24.3 a game against starting point guards. So, again, I think Sexton is going to go absolutely bananas, ape nuts. He's going to probably average 25 points per game. We haven't seen him post-injury, so this is all presuming he comes back perfectly healthy. But I think Collin Sexton is going to have in prime for a huge year. The Jazz are going to have get great production out of Lauri Markkanen, and then I think they've got prospects galore to keep an eye on: Taylor Horton-Tucker, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Walker Kessler, and Agbaji. And so if maybe two of those guys can pan out to be, quality, solid, or maybe plus side NBA starters, I think the Jazz are on the road to recovery, and I think they hit the reset buttons, plural, with both hands and slapped it hard. And I think Danny Ainge has got to be really thrilled about this. Now, there's a lot of pressure on what they do with these picks over these upcoming years. They've got picks galore coming out through the next 6 or 7 years from these two trades. Again, I can't stress enough how preposterous the package was that Minnesota gave to Utah. So Danny Ainge literally hit 2 grand slams this summer, and Utah Jazz are going to be a fun team to watch for upcoming years in the draft, and then maybe on League Pass. Maybe not quite this year, but maybe in coming years on League Pass, they're going to be loaded with prospects a la the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets, trying to find that diamond in the rough. But anyway, for short-term success, I look for Collin, Sexton, and Lauri Markannen to go bananas this year. That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. Let me know in the comments below how you like this trade from Utah's perspective. Let me know how you like this trade from Cleveland's perspective. And again, I don't want to diminish the fact that Cleveland now has a bona fide superstar who's been there and kind of done that and is knocking on that door, trying to get to conference finals and win titles and things like that. And you pair him with Garland, who is only going to get better year after year because he's got a brilliant basketball IQ. So win for the Jazz. Win for the Cavs. I like it for both teams. As a Bucks fan, I hate it completely, obviously, because it brings one more legitimate problem into the East. The Cleveland Cavaliers starting 5 is absolutely loaded with talent. I don't think they're ready yet. There's too many good teams in the East, with Philly and who knows what's going on in Brooklyn. But Philly, Miami, the Bucks, the Celtics, too many good teams in the East right now for the Cavs to probably break through and win the East. But 1, 2, 3 years from now, huge problem team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it'll be fun to watch, guys. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments about the Jazz and the Cavs. I appreciate you guys watching as always. I don't take any of you guys for granted. I was trying to keep this to 5 minutes and it's at 17 minutes. So hopefully I talked as fast as I could. So maybe I got 30 minutes in 17 minutes. Thanks, guys, for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Again, I'm not telling you to go buy Sexton or Markannen cards. I'm just saying as an NBA fan, it's going to be fun to watch. And they're going to have a big green light. So short-term plays abound. Thanks for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.